What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. I'm doing Ransom from the UHC merge qualifiers. And the inspiration behind this box was a web portal that an incident response team may give a company when they've been hired to investigate a hack. And the reason they use these types of web portals is because when a company's been hacked, you can't really trust that company's email servers, so they switch to some out-of-band communication. So if someone's snooping in on the conversation, hopefully there's an audit trail behind it that will let the incident response team know. However, the application suffers from a type juggling vulnerability that allows for authentication bypass, and I believe type juggling is one of those vulnerabilities that's a lot more common than people think. It just goes undetected for one reason or the other. Once you get logged into the application, you can download a zip file, and that zip file is encrypted with the ZipCrypto encryption algorithm, which is vulnerable to a known plaintext attack, which was recently in the news because the Conti ransomware leaker that leaked some of their source code leaked it via this algorithm, and you didn't actually need to know the password to be able to decrypt the source code. So let's just jump in. As always, we start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it ransom, then the IP address of 10.10.11.153. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open. The first one being SSH on port 22, and it's running OpenSSH on Ubuntu. Then we also have HTTP on port 80, and it's running Apache HTTPD on Ubuntu. We can take these exact versions and Google them and get the distribution. So if I just copy this, go over to Firefox and Google like Launchpad, and then paste that, we can see the actual page, and it says it is in Ubuntu Focal. And we can also do the same exact thing with OpenSSH if we just copy this and then search Launchpad for it. Launchpad is like where all Ubuntu packages are. We can see this one is also in Ubuntu Focal. And the reason this works is these versions, like for Ubuntu 0.4, is specific to the release. So if this was like Bionic or something else, it would have a different tag associated with it. Doesn't really give us any information other than we know it's Ubuntu 20, so we don't have to worry about old exploits like Shellshock, I guess. But whenever I can get any type of recon done, I like doing it, especially if it doesn't take any time like that right there. So let's just go take a look at the web page because there wasn't really anything else. And just going there brings us to this HTTP portal of the eCorp Incident Response Secure File Transfer, and it wants us to enter a password to log in. So I'm going to try a password of password, and we get invalid login. So let's go take a look at Burp Suite. So I'm going to do intercept request, and we can click that, and we go in, and we can see it's doing a GET request to /API/login with the password of password. Of course, we set that. But the other key thing to note is this Laravel session cookie. So this tells us it's using the Laravel framework and it's within PHP. If it wasn't doing this, there may be other ways we can pinpoint it's Laravel. So if I do like a 404 request and we Google something, so we can take, hold on, I want to press Control U to look at the source code. And we just Google like this string and then 404, which is what's on the page. I don't think I want to put that in quotes. And I can say not found because it's 404 not found. And this whole div header is going to be unique to the Illuminate response plugin thing. So we see Illuminate here. This is just a namespace that Laravel likes using. So that's another way we can fingerprint it by just doing like Google searches on generic error messages and seeing where that goes. But let's go back at this one request. So we have a cross-site request forgery token and then Laravel session. Now, because it's going into this API, this XSRF is not really that too useful. There's also a second thing that happens in a lot of Laravel forms, and that's if it's not going to API, it also normally likes passing this _token parameter, which is another cross-site request forgery thing. So it not having the _token and also having API in the URL means we're hitting the API middleware of Laravel. And that becomes very interesting to us in a minute. But first, I want to try fingerprinting this password field. So I'm going to try to make it error out by just putting a bunch of characters that are bad for SQL. mainly a parenthesis, single quote, and double quote. And we don't really get anything here, so I'm going to assume this is not SQL injection, but you know me, I always like having some type of recon going in the background, so we copy this to a file. We should save this into Ransom. I'm just going to call this login.request. And we can just do SQL map-r login.request --batch. So now we have this going to be running while we poke at it. But another thing we could do is not pass anything. So if I just do password equals nothing, we get JSON back. So this is key in a lot of APIs. If it can send you JSON, chances are it's going to accept JSON as well. The other weird thing about Laravel, and we'll look at this more in a little bit, but if I change this request method to post, we get this method is not allowed because we only have a route for get. However, if I change this verb from post to get, too many attempts. Ooh, it does not like us doing that SQL map. So we have some type of protection built in there. If I get rid of this cookie, what happens? Still too many attempts. So it's got some type of automated protections put in. So I'm probably going to pause the video, wait 5 minutes, and then we will resume. Maybe if I change user agent, it's probably IP based. Ooh, was it not? Or did I just hit that magic time? Okay. So I probably just hit that magic time where I could access it again. And we see a message here saying the given data was invalid. Password field is required. Now we're supplying it in this request. We also have this X request with XML. If I get rid of this, we have different logic. So this is telling us two important things. Number one, this XML thing is going to be annoying, so we should remove it. We may be able to say like password. Hold on, let's see. Test/password. Is that going to work? Request. I probably have to like form XML better. Is this like application XML? Yeah, I don't know exactly how to do that, but we do have unique behavior when we remove this header, and the unique behavior looks like it processes our word password, because if I put something else here, like please subscribe, we can see how this behaves. If it says password does not exist, oh, it doesn't. So we just know the application behaves differently when we do that. I wonder if I get rid of this content type. Anything different? Nope. So the API was giving us JSON data, and this is the hard part of the box, just knowing to do type juggling here. But when we look at the source code, it may make more sense. It's one of those things that's a lot more common in PHP than other like programming languages, just because of how PHP works under the hood, which we'll explain after we solve the box. But I'm going to change the content type to application JSON, and we're going to put this in JSON itself. So if I do a password in JSON, we get invalid password. So now, even though we have this get verb up here, it's still accepting it. And if I change that to post, we have method not allowed. So it's weird for the actual application, this thing, to submit passwords in a get, but that's the whole reason I put this in. I did it this way because I also wanted to showcase if it's a get, you can still put data down here if you update this content type. And also keep in mind, I did remove the XML piece. Let's see if I add that back in. Bunch of Control Z's to where we have XML up here. There we go. If I put this in, whoops, 2 lines, there we go. This to be JSON. We're still getting invalid password. So you can still have this X requested with. It's just weird that it behaves differently with or without that header. But let's get back to it. So we're getting invalid password. The cool thing about JSON is we can actually pass different types. Like if I don't put quotes around here, it's probably going to give a weird error message because it did not process this. And I can say password is equal to true. And now it's just a boolean and lets me in. And this sounds like absolutely crazy, but when you look at the code, it somewhat makes sense. If we do php-a, if, let's see, ipsec is equal to true, echo, success, else, echo, false, and I need to put semicolons, and I think that will be good to demo it. So we have that. So this piece is the user input. So we were putting stuff like this, and it wasn't working. But essentially what we did is we put true there. And because we're in JSON, we could remove these strings. So PHP treats this as a boolean, and then says if ipsec is equal to the boolean true, which is essentially saying if this variable is not empty, then succeed. And that's essentially what we did. We could probably change this to 0, and it also succeeds because true is 0, false is 1. But the whole fix here is using 3 equals to enforce type comparison in PHP. So if we do 3 equals, it will make sure the content is the same and also how it's declaring it is the same. So if I do ipsec is equal to ipsec, it says it's true. So this is a common like PHP logic bug that affects a lot of applications. Just a lot of people don't really test for it because you have to convert the request to JSON. So we'll look at the source code after that. But we do have login successful, and it gives us a new cookie, or maybe it's it's a new cookie here because we don't even have one set. So what I'm going to do is let's just go back to this application, turn intercept on, put something in so we can intercept it, and then we want to delete it from here. Actually, we can just copy this whole request, paste it, and then we can intercept the response to this because I'm interested what the server tells us. So when I click forward, we can see the server's responding with set cookie this Laravel session and also login successful. And the reason that worked because there was one piece, if this wasn't a Laravel API, we would fail because we don't have that XSRF cookie in, but we're hitting the Laravel API with that /API endpoint, so that works. If I forward this to my browser, we can see what the next step is. We have the secure file transfer. So we can see files sent by the client, and there's two. There's this home directory.zip and user flag. If I look at the user flag, this is going to be the flag to the box, so you can get user that way. I'll go into more why I made that so easy after we get root on the box. It's a silly reason, but yeah. So I'm going to click download here to download the zip. And this is where a somewhat realistic challenge, I guess, comes from. They used zip in a bad way. And I'll show the inspiration I got it once I move this. So let's move downloads, uploads.zip over here. I think I had multiple copies of that. Let's see. I'm just going to delete and re-download just in case I have an old copy that has the wrong SSH key in it. So let's download this again. Move downloads, uploads.zip here. If I try to unzip it, it has a password. So what I'm going to do is 7ZL to list files in it. I'm sure I could do it in zip as well, but it shows us all the files here. The other thing we could do is a -SLT, and this is going to show us the CRC for each file, and then also the method used to encrypt it. And because it's encrypted in ZipCrypto, it's vulnerable to a plaintext attack. And let's see if I can find it real quick on Twitter. Twitter, Conti, source code, zip, medium. Is this going to find it? Let's see, that's not it. Let's see. Cracked. Yes. This whole post, or this next step, is going to follow pretty much the guide here. If you're unfamiliar with this, essentially, the Conti malware group had a rogue employee leak a bunch of things. One file with their source code was encrypted, and there was they used the ZipCrypto library to encrypt it, and then someone was able to crack it through a plain text attack. So that's what this step is, noticing the ZipCrypto store here. And then if we look at the files, we have a list of files, and all we need to know is some plain text that's in a file. We could probably use like the private key here by cat SSH, or if I look at a private key, head -1. This is a good way to do it. ID RSA. We could probably use a plain text like this to crack it, because we know this file in this encrypted library or encrypted zip begins with this. However, bash logout is probably a better one to use because it's going to be a much larger size. The more plain text you have, the quicker this attack works. And .bash_logout probably doesn't change all that much. And if I look at this on my box, do I have it? Wait, oh, log oot. Let's do log it. Wait, what? .bash_logout. Oh, I don't have one here. Let's see. Do I have another user? Yep. Does this have bash logout? Bash history. Let's see. Cat.bash_. Wow, I don't know why I don't have a bash logout on this machine. That is bizarre. Let's just Google one. So I'm going to go to Google. We can do .bash_logout. And we'll download. Maybe GitHub? Bash logout master. Let's see. Is this going to be the same size? Now this is a wrench that I did not expect to have to cover in this video. lsla.bash_logout. It's downloaded, does not have that. That's 285, so this is probably the wrong version, because we want one that is 220. Let's see, Etsy Skell. Let's see, do I have one in here? So I'm going to do a sudo update while we look for one. Let's see, 220, if I Google that. I'm guessing this is probably the same exact thing I had just got. Locate.bash_logout. Well, we have a few. That is 220 in the snap Etsy Skell. So I'm guessing for some reason I wiped my bash logout file, but we have one that's 220 on our box. So I'm just going to copy it there. And let's remove the one that's not, because that will just get confusing. So now what we want to do is zip it up. So bash_logout.zip, and we add this. And what I want to do is a 7-zip-SLT on this file, because I'm interested in this CRC checksum. I want to make sure it matches the same. So doing that, that looks good. Let's do it on the encrypted zip. So L-SLT uploaded, and let's search for logout. And we can take a look. 6CE3189B. This is the same. It is, the method is different because, again, the zip we created was not ZipCrypto because we didn't encrypt it. We just have the plain text version of what this encrypted file looks like. See, the pack size is different. I wonder if that's going to cause an issue. I don't think so. So let us try the whole cracking process. So if we follow how this user or person cracked the Conti, he gets the plain text of decrypt note, which is going to be just __decrypt _note, and he runs bkcrack with these commands. So -C, the encrypted zip and the file he wants to do the plain text attack with, then -P, the zip that he created, the unencrypted zip, and the example file. So let's redo that command. And if you want to download bkcrack, you can just Google bkcrack GitHub and download it here. So we can do cd opt git clone. I probably already have it. Oh, no, I don't. And then let's see. Oh, is there a release? It does not have the source there. Let's see. Is this going to be it? Let's just go back to our other directory. So move downloads bkcrack over here, tar xvf bkcrack. I think he has, yep, a binary here. Awesome. I'm going to copy that up one directory. And now I can run /bkcrack, and that was -C, the encrypted zip, then .bash_logout, which is the encrypted file we want to do this attack with against it. And that's a lowercase c. And then -P, the plaintext zip, and lowercase p, the file we want to say is in there. There we go. We have this going. It's probably going to take, actually I'm going to Control-C it. We're at a time here so we can see exactly how long it takes because I'm going to speed up the video for this process. And 57 seconds later, we do see it has outputted a key for us, which we can use to change the password on the zip. So in this, he's doing -C, specifying the encrypted zip, -K, the key, -U, the new zip name, and then what password he wants to set. So let's try this. So going back to the previous command, we can do -K, copy this whole key. Then it was, I want to say -U. Yep, U, we'll call it unlocked.zip. And then put the password of please subscribe. And we can see it took less than a second to write the new archive. If I make dir, let's call this zip, and then unzip the unlocked contents in it. We can put the password please subscribe. And now we have unzipped everything. So if I do .ssh, we can look at idrsa.pub and we can see this is a key to HTTP at Ransom. We can then do chmod 600 idrsa and try this key out. So ssh-i idrsa HTTP at 10.10.10 or 10.10.11 153. Accept this, and we get into the box. So the very first thing I always do is like a sudo -l. It's asking for a password, so that's not going to do anything. I always like looking at the web code to see what the passwords in the application are, and looking at var www HTML doesn't really get me anything. So I'm going to go etc apache 2. We can do sites-enabled, look at the default site, and we can see the document root is set to serve prod public. So if I go to cd srv prod, this is going to be where that whole Laravel application is. We can look at routes and then api.php to look at where the application goes to log in. And we see it's in the auth controller class as the function custom login. So let's go cd app, then http controllers, and then look at authcontroller.php. And we can see the custom login and the password of UHC-merch-global-pw ! And it being global password probably means it's the root password. So you can just try su- and we get logged in. And that will be how you root the box. I wasn't super happy with doing the root here, but for UHC, it's done in Amazon. And when we moved this machine over to AWS, the custom rootkit I had in this machine didn't work on AWS. So the whole step there died, and we found out last minute and did a little bit shuffling around to still make sure there's a privesc, even though it's a pretty lame one. But I did want people to look at this code because where this password is the vulnerable function. And anyone just glancing at this would probably say, well, chances are this isn't vulnerable because it's saying if the request is a get and it's get the variable password, if it's equal to this, then sure. And we can put this password in on this. I didn't code a logout button. So let me go to my storage and clear all my cookies. Then we refresh. If we put this password in, we log in. But again, as I said earlier, this only has 2 equals. So we can bypass this through type juggling in PHP. And you can imagine how many applications may not do the triple equals, and a lot of people don't know how to convert that HTTP request to JSON in order to be able to prove it's exploitable. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to show, but I don't believe so. I also found it funny that this whole request get thing accepts data in the parameter. I didn't do anything custom to have the API accept data here. So Laravel essentially, for this whole HTTP verb, it only uses it in the routing piece. And that routing piece was up 3 directories in routes via api.php right here. So that's the only place this verb actually matters, because once you get into the function, it will pull from the request variable in PHP, which is both the get and post, and maybe also session. I don't know how we could really test for that, because I want to say request pulls from 3 places. This is going to be a rabbit hole that I did not think I was going to go down. PHP underscore request. I know it pulls from 3 places. I forget where. Cookie. It pulls from the cookie. I wonder, this would be really funny. Let's see. What is a cookie? Is it cookies or cookie? Cookie. Okay. I'm just really curious here. So if I do cookie, password is equal to password. Password field is required. Let me get rid of this content type. Redirecting. Password is equal to, what is that UHC thing? If this works, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. I don't think it is, because it didn't say invalid password, but let's see. CD controllers, less, copy, paste. No, it does not work. Maybe there's a different way we can set the cookie here, but I guess it only accepts data in the body or whatever this is called in the URL. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next week.